Welcome back to Digi Bros.
What's up,
This
bitches?
tree looks like it can be cut.
Yeah.
You used cut.
For all of our
Aw,
Pokemon
yeah.
talking aside, I feel like I have to stop because it's all I've been doing, so it's all I have to talk about. I'm like,
It's Pokemon.
I'm hanging out with Hope, and I'm just like, all I've been doing is playing Pokemon. And then I have like all these, all these grand thoughts about Pokemon. I'm like, she doesn't care as much as I do. Like, she'll listen to me, and be entertained, but she doesn't care about Pokemon.
Has she not been a huge Pokemon?
She hasn't like kept up with it. Like,
Right.
she was into it as a kid and got like X and Y, but didn't beat it,
Right.
and like, she's not
that into
a diehard man
Doesn't
child.
give a fuck, yeah.
Her life is not defined by Pokemon. Because she wasn't allowed to watch Pokemon as a kid, because of Christ's
of the
family.
demonic,
Yes.
the satanic.
The demonic and the satanic. So she would, sneak.
You should hand me
Pokemon
that beer
watching.
over there. Drink this beer.
Well, where am I going now? Alright, I beat Lieutenant Surge. I beat the SSN.
Oh shit!
Dude, are you fucking beer exploded on him.
I just started hearing. I was like, "What's happening?"
Gross. Oh yeah, I gotta go back up
Didn't
and then
explode
down
that bad.
again. So this is gonna lead to a dead end with Snorlax.
Yes.
Get out of
You
here.
gotta go through.
Oh yeah, I have running shoes. Fuck yeah.
Have you just not been using them? Yeah, you gotta go back up and go to the. You gotta go through the cave now. The long ass cave, the dark cave.
Started trying to play Heart Gold again because I was watching Johto. And like, that game starts you off with the slowest walking speed of any Pokemon game ever before they give you the running shoes. And the fucking intro of that game is so long of you just walking around.
Yeah, that game has the worst.
Suffering.
That game
it
is the
really
worst
has
intro.
the worst beginning.
Because you have to go get the Togepi egg and then
Yes.
bring it back or whatever.
It's
and
like, oh my god, let me get to the game. And the spawn rates of the Pokemon in that game are fucking insane. Like, every 2 steps, you're running into a Pokemon. It's obnoxious as hell. So I'm just gonna run from them all. Because all I have is a fucking Cyndaquil. I haven't caught anything that I wanted yet, so it's just like getting over leveled as fuck.
I think I liked Cyndaquil the most from that gen just because I was a Charmander loyalist, so it was
Yeah.
like fire type.
Yeah, that's why I had to choose the water type.
But I think without question, Totodile was the coolest.
He's pretty
from
cool.
that
I don't know,
generation.
because Cyndaquil's pretty fucking badass, so maybe we both flip.
Is it?
Yeah. He's cool, he's cute. And then he turns into the Typhlosion, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like an explosion.
It's alright.
A Ty explosion.
I think Totodile's cooler.
Alright. Alright, don't keep doing that.
I just wanted to do that line. It's from Pokemon 3.
Yes.
It's fucking hilarious.
You just quoted a line by Totodile, Conrad. That may have been one of the most autistic things that's happened on Digibros. This
Man,
Conrad
it's
just
nerdy.
Not
It's
only did he
autistic.
quote Totodile, he wasn't just being Totodile, he was quoting Totodile from Pokemon 3.
The movie. Mystery of the Unknown.
And then there's gonna be a comment that knew, that heard the beginning of that quote and finished it in their
No
head,
way.
and then they like,
No
yeah,
way. No
I
way.
remember Pokemon. I mean, I rememred it after he said it was Pokemon 3.
Yeah, but that's because I used to do it back
True.
then. Like, I used to talk about that
That's
line.
right. You've always had Asperger's.
Yes. Well,
No, this is called being a kid.
I don't know. I look back on my childhood. It's hard to not
Dude,
diagnose something.
I'm starting to feel like I might have been mentally retarded as a kid. Like, at least dyslexic, and I just never was
I
diagnosed.
definitely think you might have been dyslexic. Like,
Yeah.
the sheer amount of incapability of reading you have
But
is,
it
like,
was-
astounding.
I remember in elementary school. Well, I've always just got a headache reading. Like, I've never been.
That's what
bad at it, but
dyslexic
yeah.
does to you.
So I remember.
From
in,
what I
like, the
understand,
third
though,
grade,
dyslexic is like you see words as like a soup almost. Like
Yeah.
none of it.
So I
is
don't
even-
really know if it's that bad. But anyways, when I was in like 3rd grade, I was in a separate group that was like an advanced reading class or whatever. And lately I've been thinking, like, what if that wasn't an advanced reading class? What if it was like a special reading class? Like, I was so
Like,
bad
you
that they
thought
put me
that
in
it was advanced, but it
special
wasn't.
class. Yeah, it's like I was told it was advanced, but it wasn't. I don't know. It's just a theory. I know all we did was like
Here, let me mesh
analogies.
A for a second, and you
All I
should
remember
go get
is that we did a bunch of
Go
analogies.
get a towel so I can clean up this beard.
Fucker. Why don't you go get a
Let me
fucking
hold the
towel?
controller.
Jesus, you're
Get
not gonna wipe
closer.
it
I don't
down
want
and
it to
shit.
go around you. You'll have a towel to wipe it down.
Where do I get a towel?
In the clothes bin down there by my table. Oh shit! What was he sending out? No, use a towel. There's a towel in there. Just get a fucking towel! Oh shit, oddish. Let's try to cut it. You bitch. There's not a blue towel in there? Riveting Digi Bros commentary.
Yeah, this has been
Victor
a great episode.
digging through my shit to find a towel.
It's been a great session. It already feels
This has been a great session.
quite slower than the other ones to me.
Oh, we spent like 19 minutes analyzing Pokemon in depth.
Yeah, I don't know.
What were we talking about before I made you get that towel?
Oh, how I'm retarded,
Oh,
I
yeah,
guess.
you're literally retarded.
How I might have been in a special
You know,
needs class.
there was a point, like, what was it, 4 years ago,
Yeah.
where I started researching, like, autism and Asperger's, and I sort of, like, self-diagnosed myself with it.
This is why having cuts sucks, because you get slash, and like, god damn it.
Well, is it better than Brick Break?
Actually isn't.
I wouldn't get rid of
That's
Dig.
pretty good.
And I
Dig
wouldn't
is
get
good
rid
as
of Rock
brown.
Tomb.
They're all
and I
fucking
wouldn't
good.
Get rid of Cut because you need it.
I can't get rid of cut.
Yep, fuck Slash, I
Dude,
guess.
slash is good though.
What's
It's got a high
look
critical
at
hit
Brick
ratio.
Break.
This attack also breaks any barrier like a light screen or reflect. And it does 75 power, this only does 70 power. Shit, man. I guess I gotta get rid of slash. Because Rock Tomb's good against birds.
I don't know, dog.
Fuck, man, it's Sand Slash. That's like his whole thing. He slashes.
Well, anyway, God, stop doing that.
Go on.
What the fuck was I talking about? Yeah, I had like, cause I just started reading all this stuff about Asperger's, and I was like, this describes my entire childhood.
Yes.
Like everything I've been through in my life. This sounds about right, you know. And I'm sure that, cause the thing is, like, when I was like 1 or 2, my parents took me to the doctor because they thought I might have autism, because I was just kind of weird. I would never sleep. I would never do like certain things. I would always just like make lines of cars and shit.
Yeah.
And they took me to the doctor, and the doctor said, "We don't think he's autistic. We think he's a genius, possibly." So my
This
like
child's
like,
not autistic. I want to imagine it was a doctor with like the frazzled hair and the pipe, and he's like, "Well, you see, this child's not autistic. He's a genius.
right.
Watch him line those cars."
So my parents always made me think I was a
your foot
genius
away from
because
me.
they would tell me that, you know, they would be like, "Oh, you're fucking so smart and shit," you know. And I did learn things really fast, like
Yes.
for my age. But like in terms of like social stuff, I became the most awkward possible guy.
Yeah.
And like when I was reading about what like Asperger's entails, like all of the symptoms sounded right. Like even the weird physiological stuff, like people with Asperger's don't like bright lights
Yeah.
or jarring sounds, which are both very descriptive. Like I can't stand to have any lights in my vision. You know this.
Yes.
I make people turn off the hall lights or close the doors in my room and stuff. I like a lot of weird little tics like that. I don't like being in loud rooms and stuff. My room's always fucking quiet. So those little things made me think like, man, like there's so many physiological symptoms in addition to all the social awkwardness and stuff that it feels like maybe I really have Asperger's. But another thing about it is that Asperger's, like a lot of the diagnosis, like assumes that you're young.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's something that you can per se grow out of, or if you can just change your mentality so much that you don't act the same way. I don't know if it's just like having Asperger's but learning how to be someone else. But like by the
I think
time,
there's just a difference between like it being a personality trait and being like a thing. I don't know.
right? Well, that's the thing. There's so much research that's like not known. Like if you research this stuff, it's like, yeah, we don't know a lot of shit.
Yeah.
You know, like they're even like they don't even necessarily consider it a disorder anymore. It's just a different type of personality for some people, you know. and it's such a spectrum thing that it's hard to really place people on it. And I'm wondering if you can slide down the spectrum. Because if I looked at myself in high school, that is the most spurgy you could possibly act. Like, the complete lack of tact, of like any ability to read social norms, of just talking about the shit I care about even though no one gives a fuck, you know, like the way that people with Asperger's who I talk to at like conventions, the way they talk is a lot like how I talked back then, you know. But I think that this is like such a lucky difference that, like, I think if you get diagnosed with Asperger's, you then think of yourself as someone with it, right? You think of yourself as someone who's not normal or who has a disability, who's like, who's you know, different. Yeah. And I thought of myself as a genius. Yeah. So I never had the like the idea in my head that I was doing everything wrong, but I came to that conclusion because nobody liked me. Yeah. So I knew that something was wrong, but I didn't know like why. I just thought I was crazy. I didn't think I was like, you know, like mentally not, like, I didn't think it was like a chemical imbalance kind of thing. I thought it was a I've lost my mind kind of thing, you know? And so like over time I learned how to deal with those things, and I've changed a lot as a person, and like mostly, especially through YouTube, like a lot of the social hangups I have are just gone. Yeah. I used to be like really socially paranoid and anxious. Like I used to be anxious every time I left the house, you know, and I have none of those anxieties anymore.
A thing I wonder is, because, you know, I was also socially awkward, but I don't feel like I've ever been like the people I meet at conventions
I don't think so.
At all.
I don't think you've ever been like that.
I really think what it was is just because we moved around so much and we became so reclusive that, like, I just never learned how to talk to people. Right. And so it's like through my entire middle school period, there was just no social interaction, and I didn't want any of it. Like, I discouraged it for myself, and I like pushed people away on purpose. And then it's just like by high school I was kind of like, oh, I never actually learned how to talk to anyone. So it's not a matter of like not being able to read emotions or social cues or anything. It's just like literally having no real interaction. I mean, can take that away from you.
I think that's how I thought I had, like, that's what I had thought was the blame for myself too. Yeah. But I don't think that anymore, because like the way I look at it, like I really just didn't get people at all. Like the entire concept of everything I was doing, like how ass backwards the way I communicated with people was, even up through college. Like even in college, the way I would react and the way I would say things to people alienated the fuck out of people. People did not want to talk to me because I'd say something weird and they'd be like, well, I'm not talking to that guy again, you know? And I do weird things that look weird. No, not mostly. Like most of the time it was just awkwardness. Like there were times when, like there's some times where I'd say something like, you know, okay, like one time, because, you know, I can remember every awkward moment I've ever had. There was one time in college where like I was in a public speaking class and it was super easy and I'd never study and I just ace everything because it was all like common sense answers and stuff. Yeah. And there was this girl who was like sitting across from me kind of, and like I had gotten a test score and it was like much higher than I expected because I hadn't studied at all, and this guy made it out like it was going to be a hard test, and I was like weirdly anxious about it. Like, I don't deserve this score. Like, and I was like saying that to this girl. I was like, oh, this is fucking unfair. Like, this is fucked up. Like, how did you get a lower score than me? I didn't study at all, you know? And then she said something, I don't remember, like complimenting me, and I like snapped and went like, fuck you.
What?
Like, and like fuck you, I don't deserve this score. And like I think I thought it would be funny, but the way she reacted was like, oh, you know, and then she like just stopped talking to me forever.
I remember in high school you were just like way too like,
I was always like
edgy,
snappy
kind of.
at people.
Yeah. You always said the most shocking thing.
Right, because
like,
it made sense to me. Like, everyone else would just be like, all right, I'm not talking to you. I don't want to hear that, you know? And I'd just be like...
People would just think you're fucking insane.
Right. And so that's what made me realize, like, maybe I really just had, like, all the symptoms are there. All the Asperger symptoms are there. But then I just kind of grew out of them. Like, I learned social norms. I learned how to talk to people. I learned... Like, when I was working at Target, I would just keep my mouth shut and, like, not talk about my own personal things because, like, whatever. But now, I know how to talk to people, mostly through, like, YouTube and shit. Like, talking so much all the time that I got used to it. And, like, I don't feel
What am I doing?
I don't feel awkward anymore at all. Like I can talk to anybody. It doesn't really matter. You know, I'm not gonna go out of my way to talk to people, but like if someone started up a conversation with me, I can do that. You know, without coming across as a fucking complete freak.
You can at least put on the facade.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, you know, it's the switch. It's when you're talking to a normal person and you're kind of stranded and you know you can't get out of it. And you have to go like, oh yeah, right. Oh, I'm a normal person. Yes. Oh, we're having a conversation. I totally give a shit about what you're talking about.
I will often, like, if I want to get out of a conversation, I will just deliberately ignore the person and be a dick about it and just be like, yeah, cool.
But there's just situations where you can't get out of a conversation, and that's where I become the most normal.
The most hey.
You put on the... Cause it's just like, well, I might as well be a nice person, because if I'm not, it's gonna take longer. Like... I might as well be interested. I don't know,
like, when I look into this stuff, it feels like there's so little understood about it that, like, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that maybe I just, like, my brain was different back then, and now it's evolved. Like, maybe grow... Like, because, you know, they say that until you're 25, your brain's not done developing.
True.
Maybe in my early 20s, my brain just finished something. Maybe some synapse somewhere connected.
Something made sense.
Yeah, something snapped into place. Maybe it was the antidepressants. Maybe those helped, you know?
I definitely felt like there was a switch after that.
Yeah, but I didn't act that differently when I started taking them. It was really when I started YouTube that, like, things changed the most. Like,
I feel like really it was when you, like, there was a difference when you started taking them and then another difference when you stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's it, because I stopped taking them.
Which was another.
When I started YouTube.
It's a big thing for me. Whereas when I went on medication, it was like there was, you know, it was a total like 180 from being on medication, getting way worse because of medication, and then getting off of it and being like good. And then it's like never been bad since.
Yeah,
then.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it was from stopping, because I would say that was probably the same time that because I'd been seeing the psychiatrist, and he would give me, like, he would just fucking pill push me all the time. He didn't give a fuck about me. He would start...
Dude, I go in, because I skipped right over the therapist, because I went in, I told him I want medication, I know what I'm doing, and he was like, alright, go to the psychiatrist. And then you walk in, he goes, how have you been feeling? And then he go like, I don't think this is working. He gives you a new pill, and you go in to try it, and like,
this
that's
guy,
it.
It was this really shady Indian guy. And, like, because the thing is, you know, I've been seeing a psychiatrist, then I went, or a psychologist, rather. Then I went to the psychiatrist who was in the same building. And first they had a guy who, like, talked to me for, like, an hour, and we had this, like, really in-depth, meaningful, interesting conversation. Then the next appointment, I go and see the psychiatrist, and he just, like, literally goes like, oh yes, you I looked over your case file, and here's medicine, you know.
When I would go in there every time, like, I would always be like at the end of my rope, you know, on this medication, and like need something else, and I'd like describe it to him in ways that he'd just be like, oh, here you go, get the fuck out. Like, he clearly did not want to hear any of my shit, because he's not the therapist.
There were times where I'd literally walk into the dude's office, and he would put his pen to the prescription form, and he'd start asking, oh, how's the medication doing? While writing the next one.
Hell yeah.
He would be writing me the next thing while asking me if it's going okay. Man. And I'd be like, it's all, like, even sometimes I was like, oh, it's not going, like, I don't know if the dosage is right. And he wouldn't care. He'd just keep writing.
The guy would do it.
I think there was one time I literally told him, I'm not sure this stuff's working, and he was like, oh, well, yeah, give it another 4 weeks or something. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'd be like, I want to switch, and then he'd go into, like, some fucking database and just start searching for new shit and just be like, well, we're pushing this one right now. Do you want to try this one? And I'm just like, why? Y'all really haven't nailed this at all, have you? That's when I realized that there is no,
science.
There's no science. There's no answer to it. It's just a bunch of like shit that they're testing out, and you're gonna get on one of them and it's gonna do something. Like they have no idea what to do for you.
Yeah. And just like the one I had, as I've described it before, it helped me to give up.
Yeah.
It didn't make me want to do things. It made me okay with giving up on things.
Yes.
And then when I stopped taking it, I want to say was around when I left Target, just because I ran out and I didn't go back. I just didn't go back to get another thing. I was like, fuck it, I don't care anymore.
I got the hell away from that shit.
And then, yeah, I'd say it's around then that I I really started turning around my personality when I started getting used to YouTube and stuff.
Oh.
And like, I think all of the BronyCon trips were like big steps, you know, like, because the first one was where like I was just trying, like, you know what? Next time on Digi Bros, I'll talk about our first trip to BronyCon.
Oh god.
Summarize that.